One thing that you'll notice when you're here at this women's car show is a lot of the ladies, they like to dress like their car and like accessorize it. And what better fashion accessory than, you know, chromed out, shiny, classy, classic car. You can express yourself a lot through your car. And the fun thing is when you have a classic car, you can do all sorts of modifications to it to make it your own.
We host Women and Wheels once a year. It's a woman-led event for women by women. We had over 100 vehicles here on display, over 1,000 guests, and I realized that there really was a lot of women in the industry. We just weren't highlighted. I'm Marisol Herrera. I'm the executive director here at the Zimmerman Automobile Driving Museum. So all the vehicles that were on display today were owned by women, and a lot of them have a lot of great history on why they decided to restore these or have these vehicles. It's usually because of a father figure or somebody else in their family that had a vehicle, and they just want to keep the tradition going.
I'm afraid to paint her because she's like, you know, people always say like they don't believe like when they meet a black woman, like we age like fine wine, and I feel like this car represents that. Like just the, you know, the little stretch marks that we would call right here. Just everything about her is just all about a sister. That's how I ride her. I'm a product of South Central. You know, I grew up in Carson by way through Compton, which where I live now. I own my first home where I still live there now. But I've had a partner for 9 years, and I became part of his life. And he was a supernatural lowrider. He introduced me to cars on an intimate level. We would go to Cars and Coffee all over California. And he had a '64 convertible Chevy Impala. And the first time I ever came to this show was 4 years ago, and I drove his '64 Impala convertible, and I won an award. And he asked me, well, what's your dream car? I said, Hakeem, I'd love to own a convertible Mustang. You know, I had a sister who died of cancer at 36, and her first car was a Mustang, and I've always loved them. And I never thought he would find me a '64, one of the first original ones. You know, he researched the serial numbers. We know where this car come from. And he found the car, he negotiated the price, he named her, and he passed September 9th. So when I come to this show, I think of him all the time. He lives in this car. Everywhere I go, people stop and they want to tell me about a story of their life through this Mustang. And I've met so many people. And as lonely as I feel not having my king, this car has become my best friend because it connects me to him. And his name was Hakeem Carr, and he's my king. And he brought sentiment into my life. When we drive it places and people want to stop and talk to me, I immediately want to tell them the whole history of the car. And we would sit down, he was like, you ain't got to tell them everything. You ain't got to let it all out. I said, Hakeem, I ain't never been this woman before. I said, you done made me another creature. I said, I can't help but talk about it. She make me happy, and that's the truth. And so when I drive her and people I feel like I'm in a fucking parade float when I drive this car. People will literally slow down on the freeway. And I be trying to ignore him and act like he told me to act, but I can't help but look over and say, I know she bad. I can't help but look at, they right. I know she bad.
Look how sexy they are. They're just like women, right? They got the hips, they have the beautiful lines, they have all the bells and whistles just like us. It's the 1958 Chevy Impala. We try and restore the cars by looking at all the little details. It's been an absolute blast. It's so much fun to restore these classics and just to be able to find these original pieces. Looking for the original piece, it's like a scavenger hunt all day long, right? And constantly finding that chase, and it's amazing. Restoring cars has taught me a lot about life. It has taught me to be patient, to pay attention to the little details in life, and to not take anything for granted. So I am a native of California, born and raised in Southern California, and the car community, it's big in Southern California, but it's so small. Everybody knows everybody. It's a lot of networking. It's, you know, it really is family. You know, we see our kids grow up together. We go to each other's houses. It's just a big family, and I love it.
So my name is Rebecca Means, and I'm the owner of this 1961 Mercury Comet. I'm also the owner of Anaheim Rod and Custom, a full-service restoration shop in Anaheim, California. I started doing that business about 7-8 years ago when I was pregnant with my first child. So great state of California. I think that our climate is, you know, what puts us on the map. We've got great weather all the time. With this great weather comes cars that are not too weathered. So we have a lot of cars that are already in good shape. In California, you have a very busy freeway and you have a short on-ramp and you need to get your car up to speed and be able to merge in with the flow of traffic. I found that it was too gutless to merge onto California freeways with the inline six that was originally in the car. So with a 170cc engine, it was fine in 1961 because you're with other cars that are going that pace. But now you're riding with cars where 80 is like the standard speed to go. With this car, I put a 5.0 302, roller cam 302 in the engine, but it wasn't designed to have, you know, that type of engine in the car. So I had to in turn do the suspension, redo the rear end. I just had a lot of fun. I used to be a president of an all-female car club where we worked on our own cars during that time. So I loved tinkering and learning everything about the car. Like, I had my hands on every aspect of this car. I found that once I had the children, I drove it more like a grandma, and this car really needs someone behind the wheel that's going to drive it the way that it was meant to be driven. My 1961 Comet is actually up for grabs if anyone wants to have this high performance 302 classy classic car. Mommy? Fingers crossed that I will sell it to someone who's actually going to race it, because that's what I built it for.
The reverence that you have for it in an innate object like this that has gone through wars, the Vietnam War, she made it through that. She made it through the civil rights era. She made it, this car, she's 58 years old. She done seen all that with the same paint right there, with the same interior. And so now she made it all the way there to me. So it's like, I feel like there's a part of like, my destiny, my history. It taught me about resilience. She's a strong girl. The emotion she evokes in people. The strength of this interior. It was built in the fashion of a woman. I'm able to go out alone, on my own. When I'm feeling low, I literally will take this car. I live in Southern California. I am immensely blessed. And I put the top down on this car. And I said, God's got you, girl. Look at you. Look at you. You think everybody get this kind of love?